What is up, my beautiful buttercups? Welcome to Pluto's Garden, where we co-create twin flame collective messages and grow together in a symbiotic form. Now, today I didn't actually have any message come through strongly when I was meditating. And so I decided that we are just going to allow the tarot cards to speak and for the tarot cards to guide us with our message. So, Spirit, what message can I give the Twin Flame Collective today? What message for the entire collective, not just the Divine Masculine or the Divine Feminine? What message needs to be delivered? Okay, this is actually very, very interesting. So we got the Three of Pentacles, and it's reversed. And it's interesting, this card came up for a variety of reasons. So, very first, I was recording this reading, and I had drawn the Three of Pentacles reversed, and I continued to do the reading and what came through for it, and my phone storage had gotten full and stopped the recording. And for some reason, I really felt as though I needed to re-record the whole message as a single unit, which makes sense now that I know what the message is, instead of breaking it off into two separate videos, which I did yesterday. But it was very important to make this video a whole video and not broken into two separate parts. Which is interesting because obviously the Divine Masculine and the Divine Feminine need to unite and become whole. So it's interesting. I did not have that epiphany until right now. That's the reason, because the whole point of the Three of Pentacles card in typical tarot is teamwork and coming together and collaboration and working together to build something beautiful. And this is actually in the reverse. So it's actually no surprise that something disconnected me from being able to make a whole entire video on the topic. It separated it into two sections. Isn't that funny how Spirit, that's how you know when a message is meant to come through, because it fits the puzzle piece so perfectly in the puzzle, and one single message can have so many meanings, but they all fit the puzzle. It's fascinating. So this is definitely confirmation to whatever part of the Twin Flame Collective I am channeling, that this message was meant to be heard. And I hope that nothing else prevents us from having a whole video on this topic, because it's a very powerful one. And so I am using the Light Seers Tarot deck, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous deck. I have no affiliation with them or anything. It's just, I love the artwork and I love the colors, and I love the way that this deck speaks to me. I highly resonate with it. Doesn't mean everyone will. But so this card, when I look at it and the artwork that is drawn on it or illustrated on it, I see a tapestry, and it has two Divine Feminines at the bottom, and one has yarn in her hand, and she is weaving or making the tapestry. I don't know the proper word, what she's doing to make it. And there is another Divine Feminine that has her hand on the red circle. And the Divine Feminine with the yarn in her hand, the yarn is in a circle. It's a circle of red, and she has a string attached from her yarn to the red circle. So both divine feminines are connected to this red circle in the center. And at the top, there is a divine masculine that looks like he has climbed some stairs from behind the tapestry. And he is looking from above, and he's looking down. And he offers a different point of view from the position that he is in. And he has a string coming out from him that is connecting to the green circle. So as soon as this card came out, so many things hit me at one time. So there's a lot of messages, but it will come into a whole and just be one overall message. But there's a lot of breakdowns within this card that's going on in the collective. So let's just start with the typical things that you see when you see this card come up. So the Three of Pentacles, there are three people in this picture. And one thing I've always loved about the artwork on this particular deck is there are two divine feminines that are working towards something. They are supporting one another. They are girls. They are coming together and creating this tapestry together. And then they are also working with the divine masculine. And it's just beautiful because of all of the support and collaboration and teamwork. Now, this card is reversed. So for me, the first message that came out is there is the divine union comes together and creates something beautiful, and then creates a safe space for it to grow, and a nurturing space for it to grow. And in this, with this card being in reverse, there is some type of disconnection between the divine feminine and the divine masculine in this collective, where they are not coming together to allow something to grow in the proper way. And this can mean so many different things. This could be a child that the masculine and the feminine have already birthed or are planning to birth, and they are realizing that they have two different points of view about it. It could be a business that they're trying to come together to do, but they have two different perceptions about it. You know, the divine masculine is looking down and the divine feminine is looking forward in this picture. And so there's some kind of disconnect there where they are not coming together and uniting to build something. And the uniting of the masculine and the feminine is the ultimate goal of the Twin Flame collection. So for this card to come out twice now is ultimate confirmation that there is something within the dynamic that is disconnected. Now, from the past couple of days of messages, I have felt as though the divine masculine in the collective was disconnected from his emotions. And it's really put a hamper on the relationship with the divine feminine. Now, again, it could be anything. It could just be an old point of view that the masculine has. What stands out to me in this card when I look at the artwork is that the divine masculine is at the top of the tapestry, like he has climbed some stairs, so he literally is above the tapestry looking down. And I feel as though and this is where this message is going to get ultra specific, and it's not going to be for everyone, but I feel as though this divine masculine, for the person that I'm talking to, has a point of view where he almost feels better than the divine feminine, if that makes sense. So he's at the top of the tapestry, and in his mind, it means he is the head of household. He is the decision maker. He is the leader. What he says goes, all of these things. And he's not considering the divine woman and what she is bringing to the tapestry as well. You know, he can't fully see that they are actively sewing this tapestry. And so I feel like someone's divine masculine is kind of in this toxic role where he feels as though he is on top of the feminine. He is above the feminine. He knows what's best. But this is what's really, really interesting. And it's actually kind of ironic and funny. The feminine in the relationship, whichever one you resonate with, the divine feminine, she's on a higher timeline. And so really she can see the bigger picture with things, and she can see that because the divine masculine and the divine feminine are not united, there is division within the union. And she can see this, and she knows, so she's on a higher timeline, and the masculine has to upgrade to get to that higher timeline. But the whole time, he is sitting there thinking that he is the higher one and that he is above, and what he says goes. And here's the thing, with a secure masculine, he is a leader. But there is a way to lead in which the feminine is protected and heard and seen and validated and allowed to be herself and trusted, because the feminine can guide the masculine in so many ways because she's intuitive. She can see things that are not physically there, whereas the masculine in this specific dynamic that I'm talking about, he thinks of things more logically, and he can see things physically that may happen that the feminine may not catch, but she intuitively knows not to go somewhere or not to do something, or that this is a bad idea, you shouldn't do it. And he can't see that right now. And the other very interesting thing about this picture is that the masculine who is at the top, who thinks that he is at the top, but really the divine feminine is on a higher timeline. But of course, like, she's got her heart and she's in her feminine power. She doesn't have to rub that in, even though it's kind of like when you see a child just make a silly mistake and you just grab them and hug them and just kind of giggle, because they're going to learn. They're going to have to go through a phase where they learn. And this is the thing, to become a secure masculine, and a secure masculine is not threatened by an equal secure feminine and someone that is equal to him. It's not someone, the feminine doesn't rise above the masculine doesn't rise above the feminine. It reminds me of those little chocolate Easter eggs. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? And you can break them in half, and sometimes there's something in there. And I just imagine that if you have a whole egg and it is completed and it is whole, and you break the two halves apart, when you have one side that gets bigger than the other, they can't come back together as a whole. There's always going to be a gap there. And so this masculine, it's time for him to fill this gap where he's in some kind of, there's some kind of toxicity about him. And I'm not saying it's all toxic, because this is, you guys, I really feel like the connection I'm talking about has done a lot of healing, and you are no longer the same couple you were at one time. But there is still some more healing to do. The masculine, for some reason, is feeling like he's above the feminine, and he has got to come back down and grounded to realize you're both at the same level. And if one of you does get a little higher up, you have to stretch out your arm and bring the other one with you and carry you, which is what the feminine is doing now. She's holding the space for this masculine to be able to grow and learn his lessons. But it's very, very interesting because this is a divine connection. And you can definitely tell, I feel like this is a twin flame connection because the masculine has the green string coming out of him and connecting to the green circle. And that just reminds me of the heart chakra. And you can really tell that the divine masculine is smiling in this picture. He is happy here. He is happy in this relationship. His heart is in this relationship. He really does love you. He really does care. He just doesn't know how to fully work with an equal, if that makes sense, because I see so much from this masculine. It could be where he saw that modeled as a child. He saw his mom give away power to his dad, and his dad was the head of the household or the decision maker. Even if, your father was absent, your mom allowed someone else to make decisions, or you never saw a good role model, or the divine masculine never saw a good role model of listening to everyone's opinions, trusting the woman's intuition, and making a decision while fully trusting the feminine and making the choice, like putting it, because women are looking, or the divine feminine is looking for someone to, when they don't know where they want to go to eat, she's really wanting her masculine to make a solid choice of something where he's taking her into consideration. And that's kind of what I feel like on this, he's not trusting her feminine intuition. He's not trusting her psychic gifts. He's not trusting her spiritualness because he can't see it. He's more in the physical. And I just see in this artwork, the divine feminine, one has a string attached to the red circle, which really reminds me, and she's sitting on the ground, and she's got yarn in her hand, and I think of a natural fiber yarn, and I feel like she's very connected. She looks very calm. She looks very at peace. She looks very grounded, and the red reminds me of the root chakra. And it's like, yes, this masculine thinks he's right, thinks he's above her, thinks all of these things, but she knows the ultimate truth and she stands in her power. And then the other divine feminine, she has her hand up on the red circle, and it's almost as though she is fully grounded in her power and in her root chakra, and she knows if she has to surrender and let go of the fear of not being able to be on her own. There is a connection in this picture where the feminine is depending on that masculine for some reason, something. She needs him for something, and her safety is going to come into question if she stands up for herself or her. And when I say safety, I mean all kinds of things, any kind of way, but she feels like something within her safety is going to come off, and so she's sticking her hand out, and she is connecting to this red root chakra to ground herself, because she knows ultimately her feminine power knows she is taken care of as long as she surrenders and goes with the flow. And I also see this as the feminine putting on the brakes, saying stop. No, I'm grounded, masculine, and I am not going to accept your toxic traits that you're displaying to me. I know that you are better. I know you can rise. I mean, he's at the top of this picture. You know he can rise. You know he can get there. You know he can climb the stairs. He's already there. But he's there in a toxic way. And this feminine is really putting her hand out and saying, no, I'm keeping my boundaries. She's in her sovereignty. She knows that they need to build together equally. and that there doesn't need to be this hierarchy of ego. I mean, that's basically what I see when I see this man, is just the ego. His ego, he just doesn't understand. But he will. And this is really, this twin flame connection, this has been one of the hardest things to transmute, because there's so many ups and downs and lefts and rights and pains and hurts and thrills and bliss, and there's just so much that goes on with it. But really, when you come together, this tapestry is gorgeous. It's full of color. It's full of heart and root and sacral chakra. It's full of just beautiful things, and the masculine and the feminine are collaborating. There's teamwork. They're making something. They're smiling. They're grounded. They're in their heart. They can make things for other people to enjoy. And when the woman is safe and secure, she's not hurt. And when she's not hurt, she can be a girl's girl, and she can be the divine feminine that the masculine needs, that's allowed to be in her softness. Because I feel like a lot of divine masculines crave the feminine softness, but they don't understand how to get it. They put the twin flame for a long time, and this is just another video, but they've really put the feminines into their masculine energies, and these feminine are just not, these divine feminine are not standing for that anymore. They don't want to be in their masculine energies. Like, that's not what they were designed for. Women, or the divine feminine in this scenario, wants to be in her creative spirit and her creative spark. And the divine masculine needs to quite literally step up. I mean, this card is in the reverse that we got. So this is a masculine who hasn't stepped up to the top of the card, who has maybe thought he has because he makes some choices, but he's not really in control. He's not really leading. He's not really leading from the heart. Because this is in reverse. If you think of the masculine, he's at the top of this card and connected to the heart. But this masculine that we're talking about, and I just saw 2244, this masculine is not leading from his heart. And this divine feminine knows it. And she is putting a stop to things. And he's not going to reap the same benefits until he leads with his heart, and takes her and trusts her and believes in her and knows how sovereign she is, and realizes she's helping make the tapestry of his life too. He's not the only one doing it. I sometimes feel like there's just this disconnect there. Like, he feels like he might be the only one contributing, and he doesn't realize what the feminine is bringing to his life. And so your guides, they just want to confirm with you, this is a time to stay grounded. This is a time, no matter what your masculine thinks, no matter what your masculine believes, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. Stay in your sovereignty. Do the things you love to do. This divine feminine, she likes connecting with other feminines, and this card was in reverse, so maybe you haven't had an opportunity, if you do resonate with the divine feminine collective, to connect with other females. You've been so busy with your masculine and all of his energy that you haven't been able to. And this card's telling you, go connect with your women. Go connect and create something and do something beautiful in this world. Your masculine will come down off of those stairs and come and meet you and be equal. Don't have any fear in that. You're grounded in this case. You're completely grounded, and you know what you need to do to be able to bring your masculine down off of that pedestal that either you have put him on or he thinks he's on, because this card is really showing that he's not up as high as he thinks he is. There's some kind of disconnect, and we need those two egg halves to be at the same level so that they can come together and hold space to grow something new, because this is such a beautiful tapestry. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to bringing you another message tomorrow. Mwah.